Hey YouTube, what is up? How is everybody doing today? I hope your days are going good. And your lives are even better than that. I'm going to jump into a kind of darker topic. Not dark, but you know what I mean, like a darker topic as to things that have been happening in my life, basically. Like, as some of you may know, I've just recently gotten over my battle with coronavirus. And I wanted to just put my thoughts out there into the ether, as it were. Just to kind of give you guys an overview of like kind of what happened and things like that. And I'll just give you a little bit of background on me too. So I do music reactions for fun. I'm not like a full-time YouTuber or anything like that. I do it basically because I find it fun to do music. Whether I give good reviews or bad reviews or break down things or analyse things or anything like that. And yeah, I was born with cerebral palsy. I've been suffering with that most of my life. When I was about 2.5, I think it was, I had the back of my ankle cut open and the tendon stretched in order for me to be able to walk flat. I used to walk on my tippy toes when I was much younger. And then as I became older and older, there wasn't really a lot of like pain until I started to hit like major puberty age, and that just accelerated the pain in my legs and caused me to have to use a walking stick for a number of years. That's until I started being able to work out and being able to cycle and things like that in order to kind of force my body to become stronger. And it's painful, obviously. To work out is painful for anybody, never mind if you have like a health condition on top of that. But I still work out. I still try my best to keep myself as healthy as I possibly can. So yeah, I'm not like somebody who's drastically overweight or somebody who's drastically like bad, but I do have a health condition, so that probably puts me into a more vulnerable category. And I got my test results back maybe like a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that, in November sometime basically, and I've already been sick with it for at least a month before that, so I was completely fine to come out of isolation when I did. I put the test results in late as I wasn't sure how sick I was going to be. I thought it was something else. I thought it was a cold until I started getting symptoms. I lost my sense of smell going and my sense of taste going completely. And that's when I kind of knew that I had to be careful and things like that. And it doesn't matter how careful you are, to be perfectly honest. Even me, I barely leave the house. I only see a few people when I can. And I still manage to catch it somehow. And that's just how shit goes, you know what I mean? You dealt the cards that you get, basically, and you just try to deal with that the best that you can. Having coronavirus is strange. At first, it comes on like it's a bad case of the flu, but then you start to get more and more symptoms. You overheat like crazy. You sleep for 20 plus hours a day. You lose your sense of smell and your sense of taste. But when you lose that sense of smell, it's like when you do smell things, it smells so terrible, like the worst smell you've ever smelled in your life, kind of bad. And it's just terrible to even think about it, because it's like you eat food and it tastes like charcoal in your mouth, basically. It tastes like nothing at all. It just makes you really not want to eat. And I was so sick I couldn't even cook for myself. I had to spend a ton of money just on ordering out food and things like that, because I couldn't physically be active long enough for me to actually cook something to eat. And I live alone, obviously, so I had no one really there to help, and nobody could come and help, because obviously once you know that you have it or suspect that you have it or have some symptoms, you have to self-isolate for 10 to 14 days. And that's exactly what I did. It took me maybe like a month and a half, almost 2 months to get over it. Bit by bit, it just got better and better, but there's so many different things that you don't think about. Like, I started to have massive gum bleeding, and because there was like inflammation in my throat and inflammation around my body, that my antibodies were fighting everything off and trying their best to keep me healthy. And it just felt like every time that I was breathing, when I was just like moving around or doing things, it felt like there was a balloon in my throat constantly just like blowing up with air and then coming back down, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult to breathe. It was one of those things where, I don't know, it's just strange to think about, strange to do, if you know what I mean. And Yes, so I had my gums bleeding for a long time. My gums are only just starting to stop bleeding completely. Like, there's been like a ton of like, you know, when you brush your teeth and like it's literally like your gums just bleed and bleed and bleed, and it's just scary. And you can't physically go out to go see a dentist because you're self-isolated. And that's something that I obviously still need to do, because I just need to be sure that everything is safe and everything is okay like that right now, because it's been a very trying time just trying to keep everything stable in my life. Basically, I'm a freelance graphic designer, away from YouTube, away from everything here that I do. So I make money by doing custom orders. I make money by making 3D models. I make money from already self-made things that I already have on the internet that people buy, and I make money that way. So as I got sick for almost 2 months, I lost about 2 months' money, and I can't really reclaim that back. As the government does do like a grant, but if you read the fine print on the grant, they basically use the money that you make on top of that, and then they charge you interest on top of it. At least something to that degree. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's something like they take like money extra if they give you the grant to help you out, which isn't really worth it to me. So yeah, I lost a bunch of money that way, but I would rather lose that money than have to pay the government back like anything that I borrow, basically. Which is kind of fucked up in a lot of ways. The English government is trying their best to help out, but for people who like me, who are self-employed, they're not really doing their very best. I've had no grants, no help. Even when I got sick, there was no help, there was no grants, there was nothing that I could really claim without fucking myself over in the process. Because obviously my income goes up and down depending on the month, because obviously it's freelance. It's like, it's not a set income, it's just what I make on that specific day or month or time. And it just makes things hard. Like, I'm fortunate enough to make enough to be stable, even if I can't work for a couple of months. I'm in that very fortunate position where, like, even though my income has gone down quite a bit, I can still survive happily off of it. I make more than most people would make generally if they're doing, say, a minimum wage job or something like that. And then obviously I can supplement that income with extra jobs and things on top of that, basically. So I just wanted to get a little bit of, I don't know, just get it out there that, yeah, coronavirus is a real thing. There's a lot of deniers, a lot of anti-vaxxers, a lot of everything out there, and I'm just here to say it's a real thing. It's happening to people. People are literally dying from this. I can understand why people are dying from this. I'm fortunate that my body was strong enough in order to fight it off. Imagine if I wasn't. Imagine if I was in a place where my CP was really bad. I would have been so fucked. So many people are so fucked. The vulnerable, the elderly, people with health conditions, people with breathing conditions, people with asthma, people with sleep apnea, people with so many different disorders are out there. And I know self-isolating and I know being careful doesn't seem worth it. Because I go out and I see people in like the city centre of where I live, and it's just crowded, nobody socially distancing, nobody doing anything. And it's crazy to me that people just don't give a fuck to that degree, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm a pretty brutally honest person. I tell people what I think, and I tell people exactly how things are in my head, regardless of what people may think, regardless of what people may do because of it. If you've ever seen any of my negative reactions, especially recently, you kind of like see that. And I don't change that. I don't care. Like, I care to like the quality of my channel, but I don't care to the point where it's gonna affect me mentally, if you know what I mean. If somebody finds something I say negative, there's always negative and positive things in life. That's obvious. I live in chronic pain. Obviously there's like bad shit that happens to everybody. So if I can live with the way that I live, and I can be honest and brutal and still manage to fight off this virus, thankfully, because I work out, because I force myself to do things that a lot of people don't do when they're completely healthy. That if you're strong and you're healthy and you're fairly young, you're fine. Like, honestly, it won't affect you that bad. You'll get sick, yes, but it won't kill you. If you're a bit older, if you're a bit more vulnerable, if you have a few health conditions, you're probably gonna find it harder, like me. As it made my chronic pain so much worse. It made everything so much worse. My chronic pain tripled. Like, it tripled in pain. I could barely walk. I was still making videos as well. I was still, like, when I was actually awake, because I was sleeping for about 20 hours a day, I was literally still making videos when I could. And that's just me. I just drive. I push past everything. I don't give a fuck. Like, my body can tell me that it's in so much pain that it doesn't want to move, but I'll still move. Because that's how you have to be with like a chronic condition. If you don't, you'll just suffer. You'll become so overwhelmed by the pain that you just can't handle it anymore. You can't move anymore, and that's when your life is basically over. When you go into that state where you need a wheelchair, where you need a walking stick, where you need anything to help you move. I'm thankful that my underlying condition is mild compared to a lot of people with my condition, but I'm just trying to promote the self-awareness that coronavirus is a real thing. It is a thing that affects people. You can get it. It's not going to miss you just because you think you're too young, or you think that you can't physically get it. You can, trust me. I am only 30, so I'm still fairly young. I'm not like into my 40s or anything crazy like that. I'm still like very early part of my 30s, so I mean, if I can get it. And I've known people younger than me get it, and I don't know, it's just a thing that we need to deal with right now. And thankfully there's vaccines coming, but there's a lot of anti-vaxxers, a lot of people who are like, I don't trust this vaccine, etc, etc, etc. And I'm like, yeah, but you got vaccinated as a child, right? No, vaccines kind of what keep us safe from all of the shit that used to kill us back in the day, like tuberculosis, for instance. That's completely wiped out, and things like that. And all these anti-vaxxers not trusting anything anymore. I completely get where they're coming from. The vaccine has been developed so quickly. Usually these vaccines take 10 years to develop because they have to test and test and test and make sure there's no side effects. With the amount of people dying and the amount of people suffering from it and the amount of restrictions that we're having in the world, it's just way worth the accelerated thing. But there's been a ton of accelerated vaccines if you just look on the internet and you just search it up, and a lot of them have worked. There've been no major side effects. Not since the like 1950s or 60s have we had major side effects from some kind of medical technology. Maybe here and there, but not like in a major way. Not like where it affects things like pregnancy defects and things like that, or it affects people in a very negative way. Only minor side effects we've really had in recent years, and that's just a testament to how good our scientists are going. And I'm just rambling, man. I'm just talking. I'm just happy to talk and describe my thought processes, and just to, I don't know. But yeah, man, coronavirus is real. It's a definite real thing. Something that I've suffered with, something I've beaten, even with having cerebral palsy at the same time. And I mean, I just want people to be safe. I just want people to understand that it's not some kind of government conspiracy, it's a real thing. And yeah, man, I hope you guys found some kind of, I don't know what the fuck I'm hoping to get from this video. I'm just putting my thoughts into the ether, basically. I'm just putting my thoughts into the internet, and then regardless of what I get back, maybe some positive, maybe some negative, I don't know, but I'm just happy to share my thoughts. I've been talking for like 14 minutes already, man. Fuck. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. These are just my thoughts. This is just me rambling, basically. This is basically a rambling video at this point in time. Either way, man, I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day, evening, or night. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, have an amazing day. Take it easy.